Good morning, all of you. Welcome back to the channel, and I hope that you all must be doing great. So let's start with the analysis video for 12th of August 2023. So farmer-friendly policies कौन सी हो सकती हैं? Which is here it is in the context of the state of Madhya Pradesh. But again, आपको थोड़ा broader sense में सोचना है. Which are the policies which are already functioning? कहाँ पे हम और work कर सकते हैं? Doubling of doubling of the farmers income के लिए और क्या किया जा सकता है? वहाँ पे we can talk about the cultivation of millets that can play an important role. वो हम देख चुके हैं कि 3 मेजर बेनिफिट्स हैं जो निकल के आते हैं व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द मिलेट्स कल्टीवेशन. सो इरिगेशन सेक्टर में, पावर में, एग्रीकल्चरल के लिए how it can play important role. Then there are small, medium, and large irrigation projects, power-rich farmers, farm power, and different schemes which are functioning. So comprehensively, you need to bring everything at the same place so that एक पूरी picture निकल के आ सके. So here in the context of state of Madhya Pradesh, जो initiatives हैं, जो basically schemes हैं for the farmers, there is crop insurance scheme, there is a Chief Minister's Farmers Welfare Scheme, then we have Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana under it, there is Kisan credit cards which is functioning, crop insurance paid to around, we can say approximately 1.8 crore claims were there. Then how you can attract youth to agriculture sector. So that is something that can be, added. It can add little more new flavor to your answers as well. So unique initiative for encouraging entrepreneurship in farmers. And that makes sense even for the allied sector as well in the non-farm sector. So that is there. So coming to the front page, Center seeks to overhaul the British era criminal laws. So obviously IPC, CRPC, Evidence Act के अगर हम बात करें तो they are functioning since the British colonial times, and there have been certain amendments जो propose किए गए हैं. So other proposals includes death for mob lynching, 10-year jail for the physical relations on the false promise of marriage, and repeal of section on sedition. So proper इनका critical analysis हमारे लिए ज़्यादा important रहेगा. So when we have proper dedicated article for these amendments, then we'll take that up. So one of the TV channel editor has been held over a post on the new violence. जो न्यू डिस्ट्रिक्ट है हरियाणा में वायलेंस देखी गई, तो उसके ऊपर सोशल मीडिया पे पोस्ट किया गया, एंड फॉर दैट वन ऑफ द टीवी चैनल एडिटर्स हैज बीन अरेस्टेड. सो दैट इज फॉर द बेसलेस एंड मिसलीडिंग पोस्ट ऑन द ट्विटर व्हिच इज रिलेटेड टू रीसेंट कम्युनल क्लैशेस इन हरियाणा's न्यू डिस्ट्रिक्ट. सो कौन सी एक्ट है जिसके अंडर person can get arrested, वो हमारे लिए important हो जाता है. So it is the IT Act that is there. So organic unpolished दाल, आपको ये फाइंड आउट करना है कि unpolished दाल या pulses के क्या benefits होते हैं. So it is natural protein goodness. Apart from that, आप थोड़ा और इसके बारे में फाइंड आउट कर सकते हो. So since it's organic, obviously it is tested for 186 pesticides. It is sourced from certified organic farmers and no chemical fumigation has been done in their cultivation. So unpolished दाल के benefits आपको पता होने चाहिए. So Luna 25, it will not affect our Chandrayaan 3 mission. So this has been informed by the Russian space agency. जो Luna 25 है, that belongs to Russia. So Russia space agency, that is Roscosmos, like we have ISRO, so they have Roscosmos. So they launched Luna 25 on Friday, and they have said कि its landing on the moon, it will not impede India's Chandrayaan 3 mission. So Luna 25 रशिया का मून मिशन है, एंड मतलब ऐसी डिटेल्स कभी कभी प्रीलिम्स में पूछी जा सकती है. सो कोई बुराई नहीं है अगर आपको इसके बारे में पता हो तो. सो टम्पारा लेक, इट इज देयर इन ओडिशा. सो एनजीटी ने ओडिशा गवर्नमेंट को ऑर्डर किया है टू स्टॉप इलीगल कंस्ट्रक्शन नियर दिस टम्पारा लेक. So the National Green Tribunal Eastern Zone, it has directed Odisha government to not go ahead with the illegal construction in and around the Tampara Lake, which is a designated Ramsar site, and it is one of the largest picturesque freshwater lakes of the state as well. So Ramsar sites आपको इंडिया में जितनी भी टोटल रामसर साइट्स हैं उनके बारे में पता होना इम्पोर्टेंट है, उनकी लोकेशन इम्पोर्टेंट है, कौन सी स्टेट में मैक्सिमम रामसर साइट्स हैं, दैट बिकम्स इम्पोर्टेंट अगेन फ्रॉम द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ प्रीलिम्स. Coming to the editorial page, so let's see the important topics for today. So we need a new economic policy. So this is an important topic. थोड़ा again broader level पे you need to think, क्योंकि मेंस में भी कुछ इसी तरीके से questions आते हैं. So while you're reading the newspaper, you need to think at a broader level. So new economic policy. So यहाँ पे जो different dimensions हमारे लिए important हो जाते हैं. Firstly, जो current economic policy है, how that is faltering, yeah, how we can say that is inadequate, yeah, it is inadequate in the sense of not meeting to the changed requirements. So what are the new requirements? So no new provisions क्या होने चाहिए, and how things are changing, what are actually new requirements. So economic policy कैसे उसके context में it needs to be coordinated in that sense, it needs to be in sync. उसके अलावा इससे पहले का अगर we go in the background, पहले मतलब क्या economic policies रही which were functioning, so that becomes important. So here we are seeing the National Statistical Office, it has released 2022-23 GDP fourth quarter growth rate figures. So these are measured against the fourth quarter figures of the previous year. So data give a gloomier picture than what the media publications of PIB it presents. So we see कि in the first COVID-19 pandemic quarter of 2020-21, that is April to June of 2020, GDP growth rate, it was minus 23% when compared to the GDP of the same period in 2019-20. So obviously वो reason जो था, that was COVID-19 and lockdown की वजह से everything suddenly came to a sudden stop. So 3 conclusions based on the NSO data since 2014-15, they are important for a reality check. So कौन से 3 conclusion है उनको देखते हैं. First is that the growth rate of GDP has since 2015-16, it had been declining annually, and it has fallen in the fourth quarter to what it was earlier and sneeringly referred to by the economist as the Hindu rate of growth, that is 3.5% growth rate of GDP को India में we refer it to as the Hindu rate of growth. So because जब हम इंडिया की जीडीपी ग्रोथ रेट की बात करते हैं प्री 1991 रिफॉर्म्स, तो उस टाइम पे 3.5% या 3% वाज द एवरेज जीडीपी ग्रोथ ऑफ आवर इकोनॉमी. सो दैट वाज कॉल्ड एज द हिंदू रेट ऑफ ग्रोथ. सो कहीं ना कहीं आज के टाइम में भी this thing was also highlighted by Raghuram Rajan sir, who's the former governor of RBI. It might be possible, are we really, heading towards a Hindu rate of growth? Is that, basically, can that be a possibility or not also? So that is one thing. Then secondly, that it is essential to recognize since 2014, अगर हम बात करें, Prime Minister, he widely publicized Vikas in the reality achieved the so-called Hindu rate of growth in the GDP of what has been achieved in period 1950-77, which was also referred to as the socialism period. Third conclusion is that during the tenures of PV Narasimha Rao and Manmohan Singh, GDP growth rate जो थे, they rose for the first time to between 6 to 8%. That was over a 15-year period तक हमारी GDP growth rate जो थी, that was between 6% to 8%. That is after 1991 structural reforms up till 2014. So cyclic up and downs थे, but that was again usual things था, इतना कोई major fluctuations नहीं था. So that is, it took Narasimha Rao and Manmohan Singh as the prime ministers to understand and reform Indian economic system to reduce the state participation. Government interference kam honi chahiye. We need to increase the incentives for the capital and the labor providers, thus achieving a higher and the faster growth of the economy. So what is alarming today is the serious and the continuous decline in the GDP growth rates, which began in 2016. So ek to just slower rates of GDP is growing, that is one of the concerns, and this is happening on a continuous basis, that is another concern. So this is post 2016. So that decline continues even now as well. So Modi government has failed to structure economic policy coherently, and which has prevailed during the period 2014 से 2023 के बीच में we have seen that NDA it is at the center. So growth rate of GDP, it has been consistently in decline since 2016. This has been seen. So steps to be taken. So by structuring, this writer means a clear implementation of what the economic objectives will be. Firstly, आपको clearly you need to have a clear idea, clear picture about कि major economic objectives क्या हैं. उसकी clarity होने के बाद आपको priority set करनी है. Accordingly, you will be going ahead with their implementation. So thereafter, there ought to be a strategy also. ऑब्जेक्टिव्स आने के बाद, प्रायोरिटीज क्लियर होने के बाद आपके पास प्रॉपर स्ट्रैटेजी होनी चाहिए कि किस चीज को आप इंसेंटिवाइज करोगे, व्हाट शुड बी डिलीटेड एंड डिसकंटिन्यूड. सो मतलब बहुत क्लैरिटी required है. So for example, if we talk about today's dark economic condition, it is essential that the personal income tax is abolished and GST it's scrapped to incentivize the investors and the earners. मतलब ठीक है यहाँ पे example लिया, but we can't say कि today's economic condition is dark. ये चीज हम नहीं बोल सकते हैं. We can say कि थोड़ा सा ये जो article है, it is more of having certain political elements also, because the writer, he was a former Union Minister of Commerce and Law and Justice. So resources by the government should be mobilized through indirect taxes and also by liberal printing of the currency notes, and which is circulated by paying wages. But ये नहीं बोल सकते liberal printing of the currency notes, because already we are dealing with the challenge of inflation. So अगर और हम ज़्यादा currency notes print करेंगे तो that will further fuel up the inflation. So indirect taxes के through, this is a good point. More resources they can be mobilized. इसके अलावा public debate with any government official, again this is political. We need a new economic policy urgently. It needs to be a policy that is based on clear objectives, priorities होना चाहिए. But ये broader level पे बात कर रहे हैं, minute details हमारे पास नहीं निकल के आई कि क्या actually किया जाना चाहिए. So deregulation, it should also not mean कि we reject the government intervention for safety nets, affirmative action हम reject कर दे, market failure and creating a level playing field. So democratic institutions, they have to be empowered to guard against the public disorder arising from rapid deregulation. And Russia experienced chaos and misery post 1991, जैसे कि रशिया का केस यहाँ पे रेफर किया गया है. So trade-off between public sector and deregulation and the sale of loss-making units, increasing the employment through affirmative action and easy access to social security and safety nets are essential to create a stake for the poor in the system. So this creates a level playing field and a competitive system, ensuring transparency, accountability, and trusteeship, as well as corporate governance to legitimize profit-making smoothly, which drives the market system. So such steps, they reduce the monopolistic tendencies and helps in formation of a democratic and harmonious society. तो सस्पेंशन ऑफ द मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट्स, इसके बारे में आप थोड़ा फाइंड आउट कर सकते हो. एंड ड्यूरिंग द लास्ट मीटिंग वी सॉ कि आपको जो राघव चड्ढा एमपी है इज बीइंग सस्पेंडेड. सो इसके बारे में बेसिकली हु हैज द पावर, क्या पावर्स होती है, सो वो आप फाइंड आउट करोगे. सो डीलिमिटेशन एक्सरसाइज अगेन आपको पता होना चाहिए कि जो ऑर्डर्स इशू किए जाते हैं बाय द डीलिमिटेशन कमीशन, क्या आप उनको कोर्ट में चैलेंज कर सकते हो कि नहीं कर सकते हो. सो यू कैन नॉट चैलेंज देयर ऑर्डर्स इन द कोर्ट. सो ये अगेन ऐसे सेंटेंसेस आते हैं इन दी प्रीलिम्स एग्जामिनेशन. सो अगेन इतनी माइनर लेवल पे आपको क्लैरिटी होना इंपॉर्टेंट है. एंड जो बेसिक कंसेप्चुअल चीजें हैं, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल आर्टिकल्स है, फॉर्मेशन ऑफ डीलिमिटेशन कमीशन है, क्या पर्पस होता है, सो दैट यू कैन फाइंड आउट. उसमें इतना कोई डिफिकल्ट टास्क नहीं है. सो जून में हमारी जो इंडस्ट्रियल ग्रोथ है इट स्लोज डाउन टू 3.7%. सो इन अ वे हम बोल सकते हैं कि जो हमें मंथली बेसिस पे या बाय मंथली बेसिस पे वी गेट अ डिफरेंट इंडिकेटर्स, इकोनॉमिक इंडिकेटर्स एंड क्या परफॉर्मेंस रही इन अ मंथ या बाय मंथली बेसिस पे, तो वी गेटिंग मोस्ट ऑफ, यू कैन से कि मिक्स्ड सिग्नल्स हमें मिल रहे हैं. सो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर, वी सी कि द ग्रोथ स्टम्बल्स एंड faltering consumer goods demand to drag the expansion in the index of the industrial production to a 3-month low. So consumer demand भी थोड़ी कम हो रही है, and जो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर, इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर का आउटपुट है, that is also slowing down. So multilateral development banks को strengthen करने के लिए, reforms करने के लिए, India is obviously that is a priority for India to address the global challenges. And globally अगर हम बात करें तो debt servicing, that is one of the major challenges, specifically for the developing countries. So MDBs, multilateral development banks, their reforms in order to address the shared global challenges. That's a priority for India. And MDBs अगर हम बात करें like वर्ल्ड बैंक की हम बात करें, IMF की बात करें, so they're also facing increasing demands from donor and borrowing countries to expand their lending operations beyond their core development mandates. They are not currently equipped to address this rising demand for the resources adequately. So यहाँ पे बेसिकली और रिफॉर्म किया जा सकता है. मतलब जो उनका अगेन कोर ऑब्जेक्टिव है, दे कैन गो बियॉन्ड दैट इन टर्म्स ऑफ लेंडिंग फॉर अदर पर्पसेस एज वेल, जिसकी डिमांड भी इंक्रीज हो रही है. So one of the concerns, expected concerns in future is कि issues faced by MDBs इसके context में, that after decades of integration, globalization हमने देखा, global economy was starting to witness increasing fragmentation now. तो ये भी एक emerging global challenge है हमारे लिए. So it's also important to note of to take a note of the people-centric transformative changes taking place in the member countries. Like we are seeing कि UPI के through payments आप कर सकते हो multiple countries में, and in terms of financial inclusion initiatives जो India ले रहा है, wider adoption of such models that would make the world a better place for everyone. So direct tax, जो direct tax से collections increase हुए, that is by 17.3%. यहाँ पे firstly आपको chronology पता होनी चाहिए in terms of tax revenue, direct tax से कितना collection आ रहा है, corporate tax, proper chronological manner, their direct or indirect taxes and GST tax revenues जो आ रहे हैं. That is important क्योंकि because of we are seeing कि higher collections हमें मिल रहे from GST, तो ये जो chronology है that has changed a little, so that's why it becomes important for you to stay updated in this context. Coming to Financial Express newspaper, let's see the new things. So data law, जो data protection bill है, it will not limit RTI Act. So एक concern था regarding section 7 of the RTI. So artificial intelligence tools to dig out personal data, they will also attract penalty. So personal data को आप exploit नहीं कर सकते हो even through new technological tools that we are having like artificial intelligence. So sectoral regulators, they are free to examine the case in their respective sectors and come up with different provisions. The bill, it has laid down the framework for that. So this is one thing that has been shared by the Union Minister. तो इंडस्ट्रियल आउटपुट ग्रोथ की हम बात ऑलरेडी कर चुके हैं. सो गवर्नमेंट कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर ऐसे पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम पे इट इज गोइंग टू प्ले एन इम्पॉर्टेंट रोल इन टर्म्स ऑफ इम्पार्टिंग मोर मोमेंटम टू द ग्रोथ इन द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर. So RBI governor says that stronger IMF is going to aid the nations in the debt distress. So this is one of the global challenges जो अभी मैं बात कर रही थी. So जो हमारे chief economic advisor है नागेश्वरम sir, he also urges the central banks to converse more. So the crucial role of IMF and World Bank in addressing the global debt vulnerabilities, it cannot be overstated. It is incumbent upon them to do more for the countries in the debt distress, specifically the developing countries. And then chief economic advisor says that the spillover effects of the monetary policy action, especially of systematically important central banks. The term they're using, systematically important central banks, it can pose big repercussions on the global economy. मतलब decisions of Fed Reserve जो USA का central bank है, that has a global impact. So that is what he's trying to say. Systematically important central banks. हर एक country का central bank is not systematically important. उस particular country के लिए obviously central bank important है, but not at the global level. Coming to Indian Express newspaper now. So let's see. This we've already seen revamp of the criminal laws reforms, and then decolonization. So Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, Bharatiya Sakshya Bill is sent in the standing committee. So role of standing committees, that is important. So Home Minister says that I assure the House that these three laws, it will have an Indian spirit and ethos, and it will bring a big change in our criminal justice system. So bringing corruption and terrorism and organized crime under the penal laws, that is important. Allow the trial in absentia and focus on crimes against women and children. So these are going to be some of the focus areas going forward. So government says that sedition is out and new section gets it in with the wider ambit. So the Union Home Minister, he introduced the revamped IPC as Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023. The government had taken a historic decision to repeal the sedition law, which is under section 124A of IPC, which is, it is more of believed that it is even, politically misused more often. So this would be repealed, and we are going to have a new Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023 law. So the new code under section 150, it includes provision within the category of offenses against the state. So this distinctly addresses the imposition of punishment for acts that endanger sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India. And it widens the ambit to include financial transactions also and electronic communication ke through bhi. If you see that our sovereignty, unity, and integrity is getting violated, so that would be also falling under its ambit. So Supreme Court, you have been seeing that it has been really active, specifically in the context of stopping the hate speech. So this is in the context of the communal violence witnessed in Haryana. So hate speech is unacceptable. Supreme Court for panel to look into all these cases related to hate speech. Because at the ground level, the situation becomes too volatile and critical. And obviously, this is something which needs to be stopped. So there has to be harmony and community between the communities. Everyone is responsible. All communities are responsible. What is to be done in such a case is something that becomes important, which needs to be looked into. And this is not acceptable at all. So something serious really needs to be done at this front. So we are having the new data protection law and the proposed Digital India Act. Governance in India is at an inflection point. So how things are going to change with these two laws specifically? So India at 75 is still taking baby steps into the realm of data privacy. It has been just 5 years since we acquired a definitive right to privacy, a law on digital data protection, very different from the one that was debated for half a decade. It is now imminent. So public consciousness and behavior on the subject, they're also evolving. That is also changing with time, with new technology, with new needs, with new trends. So meanwhile, pools of personal data, they are being assembled and processed all around us. So technologies, policies, practices, they will continue to collide over the years to shape India's digital and lived reality. So given the twists and turns in India's data protection story, it seems fitting to start with the Barbhammer analogy, that is an internet uh, phenomena that emerged from the simultaneous release and divergent themes of the films Barbie and the Oppenheimer. So their link with India's digital future, it may seem remote, but as the wide view mirror, it tells us objects may sometimes be closer than they appear to us. So virtually it might be happening. It is not important that it would be, clearly visible beforehand. So metaverse and all of that evolving technologies, the changes definitely happening. So beyond privacy, the digital rights toolkit, it would have also evolved in many other ways. Like India will have universal digital access, sophisticated cybersecurity apparatus, nuanced jurisprudence on online speech and expression, sound framework for AI governance. So these are some of the emerging areas which requires attention. So shift in the social attitudes, it will complement these legal and institutional changes. So digital safety and data empowerment, they will be part of the school curriculums as well and in family conversations. So in that future, it will be unimaginable for a group of individuals to subject someone to the kind of indignity that recently surfaced in Manipur, whether online or offline. So equitable digital future, it will also gain from the advancement of the privacy enhancing technologies. So even basically we can leverage the technological advantage for establishing equitable digital future. So it is not just, when we always talk about that, it is because of the technology that we are seeing our digital rights or data protection is at threat. We can also use the technologies for data protection. So encrypted data processing, it will be the norm for all the transactions. Data anonymization techniques would be there. So India will also leverage its experience in building the digital public goods to pursue meaningful data empowerment. So digital public goods may, the best example that we have is Aadhaar data. So current version of state of such an architecture, it is limited to collecting the user consent electronically and enabling the data sharing. So this is the current situation, but in coming times, you can imagine how things would be changing and at such a faster pace this would be happening. So with the new data protection law and the proposed Digital India Act, India as at an inflection point of the digital governance. So choices we make today, it will influence where India will find itself in the next 25 years. So it also implies not just in terms of the policy choices, but also societal, technological, and personal ones. So one of the proposed changes in CRP is going to be that even if the accused it is not present, the trial, it can still proceed. So a person accused of crime can be tried and convicted in his absence if he was present in court and has waived his right to a fair trial for all the offences under the proposed Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita 2023, the bill that seeks to replace the CRPC 1973. So, right of an accused to fully participate in the trial and offer a defense is part of the due process of law. So the Code of Criminal Procedure currently it provides for recording the evidence in the absence of the accused. A trial in the absentia is not permitted right now. So if an accused is absconding, it is the duty of the state to locate him or her before the trial begins. So that is the current procedure that we follow. So bill provides that if the accused is not present, so this is the reform, proposed reform, कि अगर accused present नहीं है, still the court it can proceed to try the accused person 90 days after the date on which the charges are framed. So this would be something which will be furthering the justice delivery. It would not lead to, delay in delivery of justices because of absence of the accused person. But at the same time, it also becomes important. The rights of accused, they do not get violated in the absence during the proceedings. So in detail, here the three proposed bills that have been discussed. So you can just go through them. These are the three bills: Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, Bharatiya Saksham Adhiniyam, and Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita. The summary trial, the petty cases expedited by the summary trial. Summary trial is mandatory for the less serious cases like theft, receiving stolen property, and like that. Terrorism and organized crimes के बारे में बात कर चुके हैं. Terrorism is defined for the first time in this law. Crime against women and even children is going to be under focus. Community service as a punishment. So public servant unlawfully engaging in trade or non-appearance or attempt to commit suicide, theft of less than rupees 5,000, misconduct in the public by a drunken person, and defamation would be under this. So यहाँ पे भी proper details इसी चीज की mention की गई है, the new proposed bills to replace CRPC. So banks, they are cautious on lending to the small businesses. So जो demand है from the small businesses, that is growing. But up to that demand, banks, they are basically not able to meet up to their demands. So वहाँ कहीं ना कहीं gap exist करता है. And obviously, this is more so in case of the MSME sector. So banks, they are cautious in lending to MSME firms. So 33% is the growth in demand for the loans by MSMEs, but banks are only catering to 11% of this 33% demand. So RBI governor says that we need private sector to engage in developing the public goods infrastructure. So why the presence or the participation of public sector is important is a question that you need to basically think more about. And this is what has been emphasized by the RBI governor. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope the topics that we took up, they are clear to you. And stay tuned. So thank you so much for joining us, and do subscribe to the channel and hit the like button for the video.